Here in front of me we have a cutter head off of a Husqvarna stump grinder. It's a SG1314 model, and we can see here this shaft is sheared off. You can see there it's been breaking for a while, and then finally it just let go. So this piece used to be on there like that, and it just snapped off. So this whole piece, for some reason, is sold as an assembly. You can't just buy the shaft. So what I'm going to attempt to do is remove this plate, bore out the center hole in my lathe, and then make a new shaft so that we can get this back up and running. These plates actually aren't removable. So what they've done is they've bolted these flanges to the disc, and then they've put the shaft through, and then they've welded the shaft on both sides. So in order to get this apart, what I will have to do is machine this all the way down past the weld. Now my lathe isn't big enough to fit this whole thing in, so I've got a couple of options. I could cut this with a grinder, or I could mount it in the milling machine and try to mill it off. And I think milling it off would be both a little bit easier, a little bit tidier, and not so noisy, and more fun. So let's take that route. So to demonstrate to you guys that this shaft material isn't terribly hard, I'm going to use this Sawzall with a regular old cheap Sawzall blade that's about half wore out. About a quarter of the way through already. I'm going to try some oil and see if it helps the cutting. There we go. Now, hopefully we can fit this in the milling vise. So it looks like what I'm going to do is give up on using the vise, and I'm going to attach the cutter head directly to the table. We should be able to use these guys. And put it this way. I can put one there, one here. Yeah, I guess I'll perch it so that there's 4 of them holding it up. So now I just need to get some holes to line up, and we'll be good to go. We'll put one in here. on now, get in there. We really only need 2. We'll just quickly put everything in place and then rearrange it so that it makes sense. So now all we need to do is add some torque to this. And already it's not going anywhere. Instead of trying to drop the quill way down, we'll just lower the whole head. Alright, I've collected a few measurements here, and now we can try to do a cut here and see how it's going to behave. I'll just take I think a 10/1000 at first, just as a cleanup to make sure I'm level. Looks good. I'm going to drop down almost the full 100, and we're going to go back over this side just so we're not doing a climb cut. Handled no problem whatsoever. Alright, we'll dial in a full 100/1000. And away we go. Definitely not hard material. That's good news. Alright, what was I going to do? I was going to check the torque on these, make sure they're not loosening up on me. The idea here is that we're just going to remove this bead of weld. cut through that weld, no problem whatsoever. Alright, so the question is now, how much of this flange material do I need to remove to get rid of the penetration of the weld? Because what I'm trying to achieve here is I need to remove the weld so that I can knock the shaft out and separate these two flanges. I'm going to end up having to cut some into this flange, which won't be a big deal, but I want to do as little as possible. So what I think I'm going to end up doing is taking about 1 millimeter or 40 thousandths off of the surface of this flange. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to give it a quick, oh yeah, there we go. Quick tap and it's separated. There we go. Awesome. So now we'll pull it out of the milling machine, and then I get to see what I'm making for part 2 of this project. And you guys get to see what I'm using for material, which is going to be interesting because the material for this project was carted across the country in my trailer all the way from New Brunswick to Alberta. I believe that's all for part 1. So yeah. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.